welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys will all like and subscribe and continue to watch my videos. I hope that my content is beneficial to all you guys. Trying to do the best that I can. We just hit 2,000 subscribers, so I'm excited about that. Really starting to get some viewers now, so that's good stuff. I appreciate all you guys and hope you'll continue to watch all my stuff. So today I want to talk about what it's been like to travel around through the Philippines on a motorcycle. So I've been riding a motorcycle for a very long time, since I was very young, so it's nothing new to me. But the experience of doing it in a different country than where you are used to riding is definitely a lot different. So I want to talk about some of the different things that I've noticed, some of the things that I've learned, some of the interesting experiences that I've had so far. So obviously you're going to run into some of the not so fun things, I guess, when you're riding a motorcycle, especially depending on what time of year that you're doing it. And in the Philippines, there's pretty much only two seasons. You've got we'll just call it summer and then rainy season. However, depending on what part of the Philippines you're in, rainy season's at a different time. So you can be in one part of the Philippines and it could be basically summertime, and you could be in another part of the Philippines and it's rainy season. So when traveling from island to island, you run into a lot of rain. It really doesn't matter what time of year you travel, because if you're traveling all over the Philippines, at some point you're going to run into rain. So that's always a hassle. Since we are traveling so much to the Philippines, we did bring a lot of luggage with us. So what we ended up doing is I bought a top box for the back portion of my motorcycle, and then we strapped our luggage on top of the top box, so it's like stacked up really tall. And then I bought a waterproof bag to go over the top of all of that, so that if it rains, then it would keep our luggage and clothes and stuff from getting wet. So that was very good. And I bought ratchet straps to strap that stuff down, so it was super secure, so that when riding and hitting bumps and dealing with wind and stuff like that, it wouldn't move everything around. So we haven't had any issues with that at all. But have had a lot of rain. So initially when we first left to gig, we had put everything in the bags in the box, and we weren't really thinking about what we might need quickly. So we had raincoats and rain suits, but they're all packed up in the top box. So the first time that we encountered rain, we had to find a spot to pull over that was covered, which was actually underneath an overpass, because we were still in Manila area. So we pulled over and we had to unratchet strap all the luggage and pull the bags off, and then get into the top box, and then get our rain gear on, and then resituate and put everything back down and ratchet strap it back down so that we could go again. So we kind of learned our lesson after the first time. So what we ended up doing is I've got a small bag that goes over your shoulders, not like a backpack, just like a sack or a satchel, something small. So we started keeping our rain gear in that bag, and that way if we needed to pull over and throw rain gear on anywhere, it would be easy to do, because we'd have it readily accessible. We didn't even have to get it out of the box or a bag or anything. It was just right there. So we learned pretty quickly that was the best way to do that, so we started doing that. So that kind of helped with the rain. However, like I said, rain's not fun. If you've encountered riding in the rain, it's definitely not fun, especially if you're traveling, because we were limited on the amount of stuff that we were able to bring. So we really only had one pair of sandals, one pair of shoes. Anybody who's an experienced rider knows that it's not really safe to be riding long distances with sandals on, and most places it's not legal anyway. So the downside of that is that you have your shoes on and it starts raining and your shoes get wet, and then you're either wearing wet shoes or you're wearing sandals because you don't have another option. Yes, I know there's riding boots out there as an option, but again, when you have limited space, if we were to bring riding boots, then you have riding boots and a pair of sandals, and now you don't have any shoes because you don't have room, because you're limited on the amount of stuff that you can pack and that you can carry. So that's what we ended up going with. We brought a pair of shoes and a pair of sandals, and our pairs of shoes, pretty much every time we've gone anywhere, by the time we get to the hotel, they're soaking wet. So we spend however long we spend at the hotel of each destination spot that we go to, our shoes are drying the whole time, and we're wearing sandals or flip-flops the whole time that we're going around wherever it is that we've stopped at. So that's been, I don't really want to say a challenge, because like I said, it's something that you just have to expect. It's just part of the process. It's part of the experience. Now, the great sides of riding a motorcycle long distance is that you get to see pretty much everything. There's no restrictions, and anybody who's rode a motorcycle before, you understand the difference between being in a car or a truck or whatever and being on a motorcycle. When you're driving in a car, you're pretty much just focused on the road. You have windows on both sides of you, then you have your A-pillars behind you, and then you got back of the car and just the small window back there. So you're really restricted on what you're able to see, experience, feel. But when you're on a motorcycle, you see everything. You have a 360 view all the way around you. You can feel the wind, you can feel the temperature changes. You really get to enjoy your environment. You feel the road. It's a totally different experience. It's fantastic experience. If it's not something you've ever done, I definitely highly recommend it. It's a ton of fun. So traveling, you get to, like I said, you get to feel all the aspects of the outdoors, the atmosphere, the temperatures, everything. So it's really nice. It's relaxing. Downsides to the same thing is that, at least for me, I'm not a very big guy, so I don't really have a lot of fat or anything on my body, so I'm kind of bony. And when I'm sitting on a motorcycle for too long, it hurts. It's not super comfortable. It doesn't matter what kind of seat you have. After a couple hours on a motorcycle, you're pretty much done. So it kind of limits how far you can travel per day. If you try to exceed those limits, you'll end up wanting to stay wherever it is you're going for a little bit longer than you probably wanted to, because your body just needs to rest and recover, because it's a lot, especially if you're not the passenger, you're the one in charge of driving and all that. It puts a toll on your body. The type of motorcycle, obviously, that you ride, of course, is going to make a huge difference. I'm using a CF Moto NK300, which in the Philippines is considered a big bike, but it is not in the States what we consider a crotch rocket by any means, and it also doesn't have the same riding style as a crotch rocket. I have always kind of been more of a fan of the touring style sports bikes as opposed to the crotch rocket style, because crotch rocket style bikes are fun. They're a blast, but I don't know about anybody else, but for me, about an hour tops on a crotch rocket, I'm done, because your feet sit way back, and you have like the lay down position where the tank is pretty much on your chest, and that's how you ride. That's the most comfortable way to ride on a crotch rocket. You start lifting your head up, or anything like that, and it puts a strain on your neck, puts a strain on your back. So pretty much the only way to ride a crotch rocket comfortably is just be laid out on the tank. So, but with a touring style bike like what I have, you're in more of an upright position. You're not leaning forward. Your foot pegs are a little bit further back than some other styles of bikes, so you sit just a little bit at an angle. But it's a lot more comfortable, because you're sitting upright. You're not leaned over, hunched over. You don't have to worry about lower back pain issues or neck strains as much, because you're sitting more straight up and down. So that's always been kind of my preference on the type of motorcycle to use for longer distances. So, like I said, after a couple hours on a long road, on a long ride, you're gonna start feeling it. You go to get off the bike, and your legs are gonna be be sore. It's going to feel like it's hard to stand a little bit. It's going to be uncomfortable to walk. You're going to start getting pains in your thighs and your wrists, especially if you've ever had any issues with your wrists throughout your life, which I have. So constantly, using the throttle and hitting the brake and the clutch, it really wears on your wrists. It'll cause some pain there too. So like I said, after a couple hours, you'll probably be pretty much done. So that's something you just gotta kind of take with the experience and accept and know how to deal with and overcome. So let's get into some of the interesting things that we've had to deal with. So my motorcycle was brand new when we left Manila. I had only had it for a couple weeks, so I haven't rode it a whole lot. So everything's brand new. I have brand new tires, fresh oil change. I'd already done the break-in period, so I wanted to get that done before I went on a long trip. So I was just past the break-in period on the motorcycle. Like I said, everything's brand new. So we made it through the first long stretch, which was tough because we went from Taguig to Camarines Sur, which ended up being about a 12 to 13 hour ride, including stops to get something to eat, stuff like that. And I monstered through it and just did it straight because there wasn't really anywhere I wanted to stop in between. And that was really the longest stretch of area that we were going to cover. And I knew that because I've done this trip traveling around the Philippines before, but was in a car. So I kind of had an idea of, what to expect on time wise. So did that in a straight shot, and then it took several days once we got to Camarines Sur to fully recover from dealing with constant rain and all the fun stuff that comes with riding that long distance all in one shot. So then we got to got finished with that and moved on to the next island. And then we started to deal with some of the less exciting parts about traveling on a motorcycle. So we had hit a bunch of really bad roads because anybody who's traveled here in the Philippines knows that the roads are not ideal. They're not great. There's very few places that have really good roads here in the Philippines. So you never know what you're gonna come up on. I mean, even if it's a road you've been on before, it could be way worse than the last time that you traveled on it because it's just the way that it is. So there's a lot of bad roads. So dealing with the bad roads and the bumps and the potholes and the road construction and everything else, at some point we managed to run over something that blew out my rear tire, which is unfortunate because, like I said, it's a brand new bike. The tires were brand new. They should have had tons of life left on them, but unfortunately I ended up having to buy a new tire. So that was a hassle. We also had a bracket that holds the exhaust up had busted due to the harsh roads. So finding someone to repair that was very difficult, because when you're not in big cities, it's really hard to find places that have the ability to weld or do specific things that you may need. So all in all, we actually ended up having the exhaust break three times in total, and each time was in a different area and had to find a new place to get it fixed. And it was not easy at any portion that it had broke. Was it easy to find someone to fix it? Finally found somebody who did a really solid job the third time, and we haven't had any issues with it since. I'm hoping that there are no more issues going forward from this point, but that was definitely a hassle. Like I said, we had the blowout. Luckily, when we had the blowout, I was able to stop periodically enough to get air in the tire until we were able to get somewhere to fix it. The first place that we did stop, we did have them patch the tire, and I'm sure that for a lot of people they're probably okay with that, but I'm not. Well, I shouldn't say patch. It wasn't a patch. It was a plug. The old style, just stick it in the tire. So that they plugged it. But like I said, I'm not okay with that. A lot of people may be, but I don't feel like that's safe. So, and it was still leaking some, so we had to keep filling it back up periodically. Finally got to an area that had a tire. That was another challenge. So if you are here in the Philippines or traveling here in the Philippines and you own a motorcycle or a scooter or whatever, be very conscious about what it is that you own, because for me, like I said, having the bike that I have, it's considered a big bike here, and it's hard to find tires. A lot of places do not carry tires that are that wide. So that was a challenge. We kept going to different cities and couldn't find anybody who had a tire. Finally, we got to somewhere that actually sold one. It was more expensive than what I would have liked to have paid for one. However, being that we had no other options and we needed a tire because it's dangerous, in my opinion, like I said, to be driving with a plug in either one of your tires on a motorcycle. You know, it's not a car where if you have a blowout or a flat, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. But on a motorcycle, you know, you only have two wheels on the road, so one of those goes, it can be scary, especially depending on how it happens, where it happens, how fast you're going. So I just prefer to stay safe. So with that being said, we bought a new tire. Like I said, it was expensive, but we didn't have a choice. But we got that portion taken care of, and after fixing the exhaust 3 times, dealing with a bunch of rain and bad weather and bad roads, and dealing with having to replace the tire, after all that, everything's been pretty decent. Have run into some other fun issues, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So everybody has their different choices on the type of helmets that they wear, and of course, yes, here it is required that you wear a helmet everywhere you go. Yes, I know that there's places in the provinces and stuff that are okay with the passengers not wearing helmets. If you're in a super province area, it might be considered okay to not have a helmet on for the driver. However, it's a safety thing, it's dangerous. I suggest you always wear a helmet. It can be the difference between life and death, because I know it doesn't matter how slow you're going, someone hits you and you go flying, it's easy for you to snap your neck. Helmets are important. So again, everybody has different preferences on the type of helmets that they prefer. I wanted to do something that was had a little bit more air function to it. In the States, whenever I rode my actual big bike, which was 1,000 cc, I always had a full helmet. So the helmet covers, you know, your whole head, comes around and comes down and covers everything. The downside to those helmets for me is there's no airflow. It is a little warmer here in the Philippines than it is in a lot of places that you may ride. So airflow is important. It's easy to get overheated. It's easy to get heat exhaustion when you're on a bike, especially during the day. So those are things you need to pay attention to. Always carry lots of water on you. I can't specify that enough. You know, water is very important, and you always want to have water on you. But I wanted something that had airflow, so I got a helmet where it covers everything to the back, and then the whole front section is just a like a windscreen or whatever, visor, I guess you want to call it. So the visor lifts up and your whole face is exposed. So whenever I come to a stoplight or something, I can lift up my visor and get nice airflow, and without having the coverage underneath my neck is nice, because when you are riding and you have your visor down, you get that wind flow coming up through the bottom, whereas on a full helmet, you're not going to get that, because it actually contours to your neck so that there's not really any area for air to come up. Yes, there's going to be like little slots and stuff, but trust me, they don't do much for airflow when you're riding on a motorcycle. So let me talk about the downsides of that. So yes, it's been great because I get more airflow. I don't get as hot, so that's fantastic. Downside is, even when you have your visor down, if it's raining, you're going to get water up in there. So you're going to get wet, which can cause, even with your raincoat on, your shirt's can possibly still get wet. Whereas if you had a full helmet that came down, that's going to kind of cover that area. But with the helmet that I purchased, like I said, it doesn't come all the way down, so there's no coverage here, so water's coming down in through your raincoat. So that's kind of no fun. If you're behind a truck, semi truck, or anything like that, where they're kicking up gravel and dirt, it's gonna when you get done riding, even with your visor down, you're gonna have dust and dirt and all kinds of stuff all over your chin, and you're gonna feel it. You're gonna be getting hit with stuff, and it, depending on what's flying up, it might hurt. And the worst experience that I've had with that so far, I did have my visor up at the time. If I had not, it probably would have made things a lot better. But we were riding in the province and we weren't going very fast, so I didn't think anything of it. I had my visor up, was just enjoying the air, and all of a sudden it felt like a lot of rocks were getting kicked up into my face. But I was confused because there was nobody on the road, so there was nobody in front of us, but it had that feeling like a bunch of debris or rocks got kicked up and were hitting me in the face, and it hurt, and I'm like, what in the world is this? And after a couple seconds of it, I figured out pretty quickly what it was. It was actually a swarm of bees that we were flying through, and one of the last ones that hit me in the face actually got stuck into my nose, so it stung me like right on the end of my nose, and was just sitting on my nose, just flopping around. And I went to push it off because I finally realized what was going on, and it dislodged, and it went into my helmet and into my ear, which is not a comfortable feeling. So I quickly stopped the bike and tossed my helmet off and got it out of there. Luckily, like I said, I just got stung in the nose, but that was not a great experience. So my nose kind of swelled up, and it hurt for several days, so that wasn't very cool. So I've kind of kept my visor down pretty much all the time since then, because I didn't want to run into any more issues like that, because it was not fun. So that's another thing that you have to take into consideration, especially riding around the Philippines. Most of these roads have a lot of debris, a lot of dust, a lot of loose gravel. All that stuff is going to be getting kicked up and thrown in your face all the time. So it's better to just keep your visor down. But again, like I said, depending on what you're okay with and what you can handle, if you have a full face, it's going to be a lot more protective for you, because all the stuff that's getting kicked up from the road's not going to be getting on your face. Whereas with the one that I have, even with the visor down, I'm still getting debris and stuff hitting me in the face all the time. So it's been an experience, but it's, like I said, there's nothing beats the open road on a motorcycle. It's such an exhilarating experience to be able to feel the atmosphere and feel the road. And there's a lot of S-curve roads, super windy roads here that are a lot of fun. You go up, going up into the mountains and seeing beautiful mountain views, seeing ocean views, all that stuff is absolutely amazing. And there's no other way to experience it, in my opinion. If you really want to experience a road trip, motorcycle of any kind, even if it's a scooter, whatever, is the best way to experience everything that's going on around you. And a lot of those views and stuff, when you're traveling through the mountains and stuff, if you were in a car, especially something that sits lower, you're going to be very restricted on the amount of stuff that you're able to see. Whereas a motorcycle, you're sitting up higher, especially, like I said, on a touring bike, you're going to be at your mass height. Or if you're riding a dirt bike or a adventure style type motorcycle, you're going to be sitting up even higher. You're going to get to experience all those views. You're going to get to see everything everywhere you go. And you're going to feel it, and you get to feel the experience. You're going into curves, and you're leaning, and you're feeling the road, and it's an experience unlike any other. So it's definitely the best way, in my opinion, if you have the ability to do so, to travel. Like I said, downsides are going to be weather, of course. Your ability to bring as much stuff with you is going to definitely be impacted by that. So those are things that you have to consider. But like I said, though, you know, it's all part of the experience. You can figure out ways to be able to bring more luggage. You just gotta get creative. Top boxes are a great option for a little bit of stuff. But like I said, you can buy a top box. It's got handles on the top, and then you can stack stuff up on top of that and strap all that stuff down. Just make sure it's strapped down good, because you don't want to lose anything or cause an accident for someone else if something flies off. So be very cautious about the way that you do all that stuff. And make sure that your bracket for your top box can support the type of weight that you're using. The top bracket, or the bracket that I bought for my top box, actually goes under the seat and attaches there, and then also goes down to the frame and attaches there. So it's a super sturdy support, so you can actually put a lot more weight on it than a lot of the top box brackets. So that's why I purchased it, because I knew that we were going to be stacking a bunch of stuff on top of it, and I didn't want to have any issues there. I wanted to be safe. One of the things that I forgot to talk about, license plate size. So when I originally purchased my motorcycle, the license plate that I bought at the LTO here was almost a full-size car license plate. I mean, it was pretty big. It did have like the indentations on the top like a motorcycle plate would, but it was a lot bigger. And due to that fact, driving over a period of time with hitting, like I said, driving and hitting all these bumps and the road construction and everything else, the wind was bending that plate back and forth, because it actually was longer and taller than the actual bracket on the motorcycle. So it was the license plate was exposed, and you know, license plates are usually just screwed in from the top. So with that being said, the wind was blowing on it, and we would hit debris and stuff would hit it, and it would bend out, and then it would bend back in, and eventually at one point it just busted off and took off. I have no idea where it went, never saw it again. So that was another challenge that I had to deal with on this trip. Had to go find somewhere to get a new license plate. So that was a complete nightmare, to say the least, but was able to finally get it figured out and had someone make a license plate for me. The other challenge that I ended up happening, which I actually just posted another video on YouTube about how to get an ORCR if you lose your original, because we had the ORCR in the same bag that we had our raincoats in, and I'm assuming at some point when we unzipped it to pull stuff out, the ORCR fell out and we lost it. So I ended up having to get a new one of those. That was another part of the experience. So make sure that you keep your ORCR on you, of course, and your insurance, so that you have that, because of course if you get pulled over, you need to show all that stuff. If you get on a ferry to go to another island, you need to show those things. But you don't need to keep your original. I did actually have my original, which we shouldn't have, but like I said, we had just gotten the motorcycle recently, so we hadn't gone and made copies or anything yet, so we had the original. So unfortunately I lost the original and I had to get a new one. But I do have copies on my phone. That's always a good idea. Also, you know, take pictures of all that stuff so that you have, you know, pictures on your phone, and you also have copies, and keep those on the motorcycle with you so that you don't have any issues, and keep your original at home so you don't have to worry about it. But if you do happen to have your original on you and you lose it, like I said, I have another video here on my YouTube that talks about how you can go about getting a new one. So if you need any assistance with that, that video will help you with that. But that's pretty much all the goods and the bads of riding a motorcycle. Like I said, there's just no better experience if you're traveling than to be on the open road on a motorcycle, experiencing the weather, hearing all the sounds, smelling the ocean, smelling the rain. It's a fantastic experience. I definitely recommend it. The Philippines is a beautiful country, and you will enjoy it a whole lot more if you're able to do it on some sort of a two-wheeled scooter, motorcycle, you know, whatever. So I definitely recommend it. And I'm so grateful for all you guys for continuing to watch my videos. I hope that this content is enjoyable for you. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope you guys will all like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope you guys will continue to enjoy my content as I travel around the Philippines. I hope to do some traveling outside of the Philippines here soon within the next couple years to some other portions of Asia, so we'll keep you updated on when that stuff's going to happen and where I'm going to be going and what all that's going to entail. But I hope you guys continue to watch. Like I said, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. You guys all have a great day. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.